And just let the tones that you were singing and hearing, let those keep reverberating in you, in your own crystalline structure. Hear them inside as you breathe. Soft, full breaths in and out. Just letting those beautiful tones rock you gently, slowly. And feel the wonderful, delicious energy of Gaia coming up through your feet into your whole being. And if you notice your own heartbeat, what that feels like, and then go from your heart to the heart of Gaia and feel her underneath you. And as you breathe, and as you experience your own heartbeat, you will begin to feel the heartbeat of Gaia. And soon it begins to synchronize with your own heart, so that you and the Great Mother are beating as one heart. One beautiful crystal inside and out. And so that the history that is held here in the crystalline grid is your history. You as the warrior, as the priestess, as the child. You going to battle, you saying your prayers. And perhaps today you felt that as you wandered through the holy places here. Perhaps you're beginning to integrate your past and your present, opening up all of the places in your own crystalline DNA remembrance to the energies that are here in Glastonbury. And breathe that in with me. And feel the peace that is here now, the peace of souls that have come to rest, the grace that surrounds the lives that were lived and the lessons that were learned, and the compassion for the journey of the many souls, your souls, that live lives here in this beautiful crystal. So as you continue to hold that resonance, that memory, that heartbeat to the land of the gods and the goddesses here, know that that goes with you from this place. And you go forever changed as you have breathed the air and you have a drink of the water and the feeling of the grid beneath you has touched your DNA, the composition of your soul, and you take that with you always. Take a breath. And say yes inside to this great gift. Yes.
So it is good day to you, huh? So very good to see you, your light, your brightness, your shining energy, all radiant from picking up that aspect of yourself that you may have left here 1,000 years ago, 2,000 or 47, whatever fits the boat, huh? Yes, this place, this mystical place, has brought out the hero and heroine within you. You are here acknowledging that divinity. You are here acknowledging your divinity, the wizardry, the master, the teacher, the lover, the creator, the acknowledgement, the division of religion, the division of beliefs. And now you are here to bring it all back together. You are here to unite that energy, just as the Master had said, just as you have said. Oh, dearly beloveds, I am grateful for you. It was my intention to bring peace to this planet. Didn't work out quite so well for me, but we woke a lot of people up just as you are. And you are expanding that peace. For you see, you are the creator as well. You have been created, just as I. You are my sister. You are my brother. You are my teacher. You are my heart. You are my love. I came here. Yes. And with the sweetheart that is you. I came here to help you learn that there are no borders any longer. That it is time to acknowledge the wizardry of love. No, I did not invent Christianity. And it hurts my heart to think of those things that have been done in my name. Yet you are here to set things aright. You are here to acknowledge that love that is within you. And as you walk these streets, as you feel these stones, as you feel the vibration of this land coming through to you, you feel that aspect that you left here long ago when you danced by the fire in Stonehenge, when you filled the well with your water, as your tears were replaced by love, as you honored others. Sometimes a great anger welled up inside of you to think of the difficulties of your life, of your lives. I am here to tell you, you must forgive everything and everyone, especially yourself. You must. For without that forgiveness, then you still carry that old pain, that old axe in your shoulder that you got a few thousand years ago. Ready to let that go? Yes. That judgment that may have chained you to the wall because you did not agree with the beliefs of the ones in charge. Are you ready to forgive them for simply doing their job? Are you ready to forgive yourself? For you may have been the ones that put someone else in chains. You see, it does no good to hold on to that past. It is just old stuff, as Rhonda says. The willingness to forgive is the necessary part. I am willing to forgive myself. I am willing to forgive my persecutors. I am willing to forgive those who I disagreed with. You see, the phrase, I am, as you know, the two most powerful words in any language. And willing simply wills that into place. I know in some people's beliefs it keeps it in the future. That is not my realization. My realization is I am willing into the being of all that is forgiveness of you, of me, of the land and the people. Are you willing? Yes? I am willing to forgive myself. I am willing to forgive all others of any perceived wrongdoings. I am willing to forgive all things because I can. Breathe deeply, dearest. I am in love with you. Now I wish to help you be in love with you too. You are the creator of your world. We are created, and you are the creator. My dearest brothers, my dearest sisters, be love. As simple as that. Be love. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Cryon of Magnetic Service. The first thing I wish to tell you is the honoring that I have of the fact that this group is the second group that sits before me in this room. I wish to have one unified message so that when you get together with the former group and compare notes, you'll find the channel was almost identical. And we do this so the information is the same. And although it is given 2 times, consider it as one. For I give you now the same information that I gave to the group before, And this information is about this area and especially two individuals in history. Dear ones, in previous channels on this land, I sat in the grass and I gave you information about the energy of the area, the crystalline grid. I told you of the amplification attributes that happen in certain places of the planet. You see it in the streets. You see it in the distractions of what people wish to do here that perhaps has nothing to do with anything here. But they're still attracted because this is a place they feel something, and they feel something that is beyond themselves. Perhaps it is the God inside of them that has nothing to do with the history here. But it's everywhere, if you've noticed. This is Glastonbury. This is the home of celebration and festivals. It's Glastonbury. What I wish to tell you now is an enhancement of the other channels that I've given in this place for the last 2 weeks. The information I wish to give you is true, and it is enhancement of history that is legend. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is this, that archaeologists, historians, and scientists are very specific in their job. And their job is to try to validate, authenticate any information before you have it that they would say happened. And that's tough. It's tough for so many reasons. 2,000 years, more than that, has gone by since the facts that I'm going to give you. And so you will not have consensus that what I'm going to tell you is true. But there are certain things that will then tell you it's true beyond that which is that which would authenticate. And I'm going to call it common sense. Self-evident facts. And we start with this. The history that I'm going to tell you is of Jesus and Joseph. I would like to tell you a little bit of what happened here, and in the process of that, this channel will then probably be called the blasphemous channel for what is to come. I want to honor what happened here and the individuals. But I want to talk about Joseph. Joseph was the uncle of Jesus. Now, you will not find consensus of that. But there is things coming. There are things coming, even in this channel, to remind you of that will make common sense and are self-evident. He had to be the uncle in order to achieve the things that are recorded that he did. The uncle Joseph was a trader. He was an importer. He had more abundance than anyone in that family and took Jesus with him to this place called Glastonbury a number of times. Now, even that is suspect among those who would say, well, there's no real proof. Dear ones, if you know the story of what resulted here, you'll know that Joseph had to have land. He had to have had contacts. They had to have known him for him to have set up the things that you now call the first church of Christ. And so this in itself, self-evident that he had to have come. The trade routes that he used were by sea. And he brought Jesus with him. And in that process, I will tell you this, that when they saw this land, they returned. Not just because they were interested in the importation of tin and taking it back to Palestine. They came because they were entranced with the lushness. Think about where they came from. The beauty, the greenery, all that is here that is crystalline and remembered. They felt it. They felt the same things that so many feel when they come here. Remember, the crystalline grid was here before anybody. It was here before the name of the country. It's always been here since the Pleiadians arrived. On purpose. This was an attractive place. And so first of all, I want you to know, the first thing is that both Joseph and his nephew visited this place. I want to talk about these missing years of Jesus. I said in what you would call the pineal tones choir, I said this. They're not the missing years at all. They're the boring years. Boring because Jesus had not taken his mantle. He was simply a growing young man, experiencing the world and all things that were there. He had not taken his mantle. He was not performing sermons and miracles. There were no things that were written down at all about what he did because there was nothing to write. It was only later, as he approached his 30th year, that he began to see not only who he was, but what he could do, and started to realize the mantle that he carried would change the earth. But not while he was growing up. Not at all. This in itself is controversial, but what I'm going to tell you next is the blasphemous part. The man, Jesus, was not celibate. He was growing up like any other man, discovering the beauty of the things that God had given him and all humanity to discover. The idea of celibacy being something pure is a total and complete human construct. Celibacy, dear ones, creates dysfunction and unbalance. Do I have to tell you more? And you know this. My partner has a favorite saying that he has published. It is when a Christian minister was speaking before a number of young people. And the Christian minister said this: sex is one of the most vile, horrible, dirty, filthy things on earth. And you should save it for somebody you love. Unquote. I would like to make a statement that I've said before. The intimacy between two human beings in love is designed and sacred and creates sacred energy beyond energy that you could create alone. It is designed for this reason. It brings love together. It's a pinnacle of beauty, and it is proper and it is complete. And for you to have vilified it, or anyone, is a construct of human control. Jesus was not celibate. Let me tell you about what happened in the upper room. Now, I've discussed this before. I've even told you about the chalice before. Very controversial. But I want to enhance this just yet again. I want you to know something. This thing that is called the Last Supper was not set up as a special meal by Jesus. with invitations to come on to this special meal. Something special is going to happen. This was a Passover. This was a typical Passover meal to break unleavened bread. They were all Jews. This was something that they would normally do at this time. And the fact that they were all together yet again was not that unusual. But this was the last time. I told you before that of all of the reports of what Jesus said, it was almost all metaphoric. He was saying goodbye, but he was saying it in his own words so they would not be disturbed or they would not be upset. And they didn't understand it. They really didn't. Even when he broke bread and drank the wine in what is now called the First Communion, they just thought that this was a ceremony because he was who he was and they should honor him all his life in this fashion. There was never one thought that he would be gone in a day. Not any of them got that. Even when the one who betrayed him left, they didn't get it. None of them really thought he was saying goodbye. And one thing that you should really see is that Joseph was not there. So the idea, and I'll say it again, the idea that someone would have taken the cup from Christ, not knowing it was the Last Supper, one of his followers would have put it in a bag, and then sold it to Joseph later, doesn't really make sense now, does it? Where is that chalice today? Dear ones, I will say it yet again. It's on the ancient rubbish heap of dirty dishes. The Holy Grail, dear ones, is what you carry within you, which is the love of God. Holy Grail is the representation of what Christ taught, not an object to be found by King Arthur. And by the way, did you see his grave today? Did you see King Arthur's grave? Don't you find it interesting he's buried in several places? I call this the convenient, abundant bones of King Arthur. Legend would live on, and it should live on, of the hero story. But what happened next, I want you to hear. When they put Jesus on the wood, and they crucified him all day long, where were his disciples? Where were the apostles? They weren't there. Who was there? Under protocol, the ones who go there are family. For there will be no suspects if they're family. And what I mean by that the apostles, the disciples were shocked. They were in complete shock, even though they had been told what they saw unfold in the streets was so awful. Never expected. Even though he said goodbye, they didn't get it. Some of them went into hiding so they would be able to write later. They were afraid they would be associated if they gathered around as followers. They were not there. But the one who was Joseph, because he was his uncle. You see, things are self-evident. You don't have to prove these things through lineage and writings, because some things are self-evident. Mary from Magdala was there. She was family in some way as well. You figure that out. Mother was there for a while. Joseph remained, and he remained, and he remained. Now, I've told you this before, and I want you to understand something. I'm going to give you a scenario, and then I'm going to tell you that this is not secret. I'm not revealing anything, because what I'm about to tell you next is in the scrolls. They are not published in your scripture, they're in the scrolls. You can find them, they're documented, and others have. And it goes like this. Still, on Jewish law today, it is against protocol to crucify after sundown. So Joseph knew that he would have to wait until sundown, and he and the helpers in the groups that were there to help, not family, would then remove the body and take it to the tomb. But something also happened. It's in the scrolls. There were dignitaries coming into town before sundown, and they wanted to remove the bodies sooner than they normally do, and they did in the scrolls. Joseph was there and took him off the wood. Now, what next is important for you to hear is also in the scrolls. The tomb that he was taken to, whose was it? Tombs are expensive. They are purchased in advance, either for the family or the individual, just as today some of you will purchase grave sites before your death. Joseph was an abundant man, and he had purchased a tomb that was very close to Golgotha. He took his nephew off the wood, and Joseph put him in his own tomb, the tomb of Joseph. He loved his nephew. He's probably one of the only men that knew him as well as he did. That's the story. Now, what happened here is what I want to tell you. That is beautiful, that is believable, and there's very little proof. Joseph came here later, and in honor of his nephew, he built the chapel. First, only a prayer room, got the land, and the legends will say that he built the first church of Jesus. Let the legends be real, he did. The guides would tell you what happened then, the building, the destroying, the moving, the destroying, the building. All of that is here for you to see, dear ones. But the reality is this: the first Christian church honoring Jesus was here, built by his uncle. And what I want to tell you that I told the other group is really not provable. It's not really known, but it is so significant. The church he built never had a cross in it. It never had a man pictured in silhouette suffering. No. Because his uncle knew that that was not the story of his nephew. That's not what he saw his nephew preach. That's not what he felt in the love that was there. His church was so cheerful, light poured in, color was everywhere. There was no depiction of the suffering man on the wood. When you go into a Christian church today, often that's what you see first. Darkness, suffering, sadness, crying, weeping. And that's not what Joseph wanted at all. He wanted the message of resurrection, redemption, and love and light for this planet to be seen, because that's what his nephew was all about. And this is where it was, on the hill. And if you could see it, if you could close your eyes and see it today and feel what the intent was right from Joseph in the first construct that was physical about his nephew, you would see joy, no suffering, light, color, singing, beauty. Let it be known that this was the original intent from his uncle, from his family member. And it happened right here. This is the real Joseph, the real Jesus. beautiful in all that it represents, and one of the reasons that this area still sings to this day. More than the crystalline grid, this area sings, and it sings with the light of the Master of Love and all he stood for, and all that was built here in accuracy and light and love was real. Go from this place knowing a little more than you did before about what Glastonbury really is about. And so it is.